I'm like any other gamer on this earth and like me some Stalker, especially the older titles. But I have recently played the Gamma mod pack, with me being kinda disappointed in the newest Stalker game when I compared the two. I got the game as a gift before it was even out and I was fairly excited for it, so I did play it once when it was released and I had a blast for the first 5 to 10 hours. After those initial 10 hours and the game started to really drag, and honestly me dropping the game a handful amount of times because it was becoming a big slog. Why? Alright, let me paint you a picture. You need to talk to Joseph. Great, you talk to him, he instructs you to get a specific item for him. That's 5 kilometers away. Alright, whatever, you chug along and you get that item for him, and disregarding the fact that you need to go get the item and then actually go back the 5 kilometers to give it to him. You do that only to get stopped halfway through by another guy telling you on the radio that Joseph is dead and now you need to give the item to him, only to realize that the new guy is 6 kilometers away. I'm kinda exaggerating, but that is essentially the gameplay loop of this game. Like I said, it wasn't really apparent in the beginning of the game because everyone is quite close to each other alongside the different side missions, but later on when you start to unlock more areas, it just really drags you along. Drew, what's the problem? Don't you get it? You engage with the world and other content while traveling to the objective, so you get distracted. Or wrong. The world of Stalker is empty. It's just a tiny bit better after the patches, but they haven't really helped a lot. Speaking of the patches, I haven't played the game since the first major patch, and since that first patch, the studio has released 4 major patches, and the game still feels the fucking same. The game wants you to use guides to travel town to town, but after a certain point in the game, you can't even access majority of them because either they're not there because of a story-related event, or because the area is far away that even if you did use a guide to the closest locations, it would take ages for you to get there. Here's the map of Stalker 2. And the yellow lines indicate the guides that can disappear or just bug out for some reason, like the lesser zone where there's a side quest that can bug out the entire area. Green is where the guides are at all times and nothing can happen to them, and the red ones are where you don't even have a guide or a base to craft or buy items at. As you can see from this map, the left side of it kinda suffers from this problem, and guess what? You spend majority of the end game near that area, so oh boy, be prepared to run for over 40 minutes without having anything to do. Whenever I would literally walk for more than 30 minutes in Stalker 2 without anything happening, I was just being reminded of my time with Fallout 76, where me and my friend just stopped playing because we realized we just walked and walked and walked without anything happening or not having anything to do. Death Stranding is branded as a walking simulator, and it has more shit to do than both of these games. Oh, but how could I forget? The game has now sort of these cliffs that you can't even climb, and seems the only purpose of them is to waste even more of your time and guide you into a specific path because the story demands it. I was never more angry walking around the map and not doing anything, just sprinting, drinking an energy, sprinting. Oh wait, I found a spot I can loot. Oh, I found a nice gun. Oh, now I'm overweight, so now it takes double the time for me to sprint now. Oh, I'm sorry, I was supposed to go and farm artifacts to increase my weight capacity because a grown adult is apparently over encumbered because he has too many sausages in his pocket. This game really broke me, and no game has really done that in a while, and trust me, I've played Marvel Rivals and CSGO back in the day. Either they had to change up the formula with adding some sort of land vehicle like the mod pack does in a game that originally didn't even have any vehicles, or literally revamp the entire map with the game take place in a more packed area with more buildings and structures. Oh, but the zone is actually just this tiny bit, so they couldn't do it. Yeah, they could have changed the story and said there was another explosion and the zone was bigger, or miraculously the zone transported into another area. Like, they can do whatever they want. They already basically have magic in this setting with the zone. What ends up happening is that you have this filler map with 3 to 4 good structures and the rest is just wild forest, and you have the swamp. Stalker games need forest, yes, but they also need densely packed areas like Pripyat, which is my favorite area in the game just because how big and small it is at the same time. Every building feels like a loot box waiting to be opened, only to be disappointed and get no loot. Let's try to dive a bit deeper into the aspects of the game that really don't work for me. Life is a huge part of the OG Stalker games, as it really felt like there were people out there surviving alongside with you. The monsters actually felt like they had a life in the zone, having corpses they eat, and they pick them up to eat them at a safe distance to not get gunned down by a stalker. Meanwhile, Stalker 2 just has the people spawn out of nowhere, not really acknowledge you, and then have godlike aim when you can't even see them. The game really needs an overhaul of the AI, as they literally just don't work in the game. I've had multiple scenarios of NPCs not doing normal things like pathing to an objective, being able to see me through walls because I had the flashlight on, silly me, and most of the time not realizing what the fuck is going on even around them because they don't know what to do. It astonishes me how a way older game, and mind you the NPCs in the OG trilogy had their fair share of problems, but not to the extent of Stalker 2's NPCs. There has been a single time ever since the patch where I encountered a normal thing in the zone, and that is these bandits who are sitting around a campfire probably exchanging stories. That was until their sixth sense activated and realized that the protagonist player entered the area and started shooting me. If you travel in the game, like there's anything else to do, and you see an enemy, there's a 101% chance of that enemy spotting you. It actually doesn't matter if you hide behind a wall, rock, bushes, or a tree. They will see you no matter what, and you won't even know where they are before they start shooting at you and make you bleed. For some reason, it's unfair for me to compare the game to its predecessor. Let's compare it to another game, Hitman Blood Money. The game released almost 20 years ago, and even though you can really exploit the AI the game has, it has a more robust system than Stalker 2. If you turn down the light, the NPCs will react trying to find the switch to turn it back on. If you drop a coin, the NPC will react. Although it doesn't always work, usually when you shoot someone with a silent sniper or even a gun, and the NPC sees the dead body, they will report it to the nearest guard, who is apparently Batman and can pinpoint the location of where the bullet was fired. The AI doesn't immediately know it was you, the player, who killed this person, only knowing where you shot it from, and even in some cases they don't even know that. They just know that someone is out there and are more alert. I didn't say that the system is perfect or not flawed, but some care was put into how the different NPCs react to the player's actions in the world. What I'm getting at is that Blood Money feels like you're a part of the world and not the protagonist, with everything having stacked against you because you're the player. In Stalker 2, it always feels like the player is at the center of attention no matter what you do or what happens. Whenever you stumble across the few moments where the NPCs actually get into a fight with each other, as soon as you enter the vicinity or take part of the fight, everyone will turn their attention towards you because you're the player and you need a challenge. Sure, you could argue that these bandits who were attacked by snorkelers wanted to pick me off first to take care of them later on, but if the creature is right up against your crotch, I think you have your priorities wrong. And like the example I mentioned in Blood Money where you drop a coin and the enemy investigates it, or an NPC, in Stalker 2 you can use the bolt to distract enemies, but you know what happens? They get put on alert because they know that the player is in the area, so they gotta be up on guard and be ready for him. There's a battle in the game later on, the Battle of Yaniv, where the monolith attacked the settlement, and I had to reload so many times because all the enemies looked the same and the compass was no help to me since there were so many people. Why did I have to reload so many times? Because I kept on killing the good guys I was supposedly defending because they all looked the same. And throughout the fight I realized that they were shooting me back, so it's fine for my allies to hit me in the crossfire because they're the NPC, but I can't have one small mistake of shooting my ally in this crossfire in this battle. There are casualties in these battles in the zone, so I don't know why everybody is suddenly hostile against me. Especially when the AI is prone to rush the enemy and stand in front of them, blocking my shot, or just standing next to them and not even reacting. It makes me think of some of the great moments I've had in the zone, like with these amazing guards in Rostock, with me being chased by this creature. And cheers guys, I really felt never more seen and welcome in this city, thank you. Stealth in the game is non-existent, and I'm pretty sure it all has to do with these cursed flashlight. In some areas, like many of the bunkers you visit, you do not need to use the flashlight. Rather, go into the settings, make your game look shitty by turning up the brightness. It's literally the only way to do something stealthily and not getting the attention of your enemies, because they will see you no matter what if you have the flashlight on. I legitimately don't know if the walls are just sentient or the objects, but like they don't give you any coverage you usually get in games that offer stealth elements. Like this game throws all the rules of different stealth games out of the window, out of the fucking planet. The game apparently has a noise mechanic that if you sprint too fast or walk too fast behind an enemy, they will hear you. But personally, I have never seen it outside of the first outpost you encounter at the start of the game. And honestly, they could just fix the stealth system in an instant. They just gotta provide a night vision goggle or a night vision helmet or something, because it's that damn flashlight that's the beacon of hope for the AI to realize where the player is. Alright kids, let's settle down a little bit. The audio peaked a couple of times, so let me tell you all a story, alright? Picture this. You're an experienced stalker, out on a dangerous mission. You gather your best supplies to prepare yourself for the journey. The mission did not go according to plan and you're bleeding out on the brink of death. You think you can probably make it to the closest village doctor, but with all the gear you have brought with you is slowing you down. You quickly think the best option for you is to stash your stuff and return if you make it. Well, you didn't make it and now you're dead. What did you leave behind your stash before dying? A half-eaten sausage, vodka, and bread. Realistically, it's accurate for Slavic people, sure, and hell, even for the memes, it would have been fine to have one stash having a journal similar to the story I just told you, only to have some cigarettes and vodka. But I kid you not that every stash I looted had the same items in every single one. The only thing that differed was the different ammo types I found. If, and that's a big if, the game feels nasty, a little bit freaky if you'd like. You get some ammo for a gun you probably don't even use. Even outside the stashes, the world feels empty of loot. One of my biggest criticisms for the OG Stalker games is that there isn't any loot in the areas where it makes sense there would be loot. If your response to that is, oh, but it makes sense because there are other stalkers that need that loot, so they probably looted those areas, then there wouldn't be any loot left when you start the game, and also it's a gameplay thing, so whatever. I thought coming into Stalker 2 that they would make the world more open in the sense of being able to enter small houses, cabins to find loot. And while there are some areas that are open and a lot of buildings that you can loot, there are buildings that have interior designs but are just inaccessible. And being on the side of the loot, there is no loot in Stalker 2. No, there's literally not any loot. You have ammo, weapons, bread, sausage, energy drink, water, condensed milk, vodka, and medkits. That's it. No, that's it. One of the patches did introduce skinning the monsters of the zone to earn more cash, but that's it for the extra loot. The previous games also had this issue, but come on, it's been literally years. Where's the loot? Where are the bolts, screws, gun parts, patches, gunpowder, bullets casing, toolboxes? Now I'm just giving example of loot that already is in the Gamma mod pack, but in that mod pack they fixed the complaint I have about the loot, and the developer should have really went into that direction that the mod pack took. Because with how the game plays, it would make sense to have the same mechanics as the mod pack, like having to set up camp or a sleeping tent to craft ammo, to sleep, or craft some medicine. I have some suggestions on how the game could be overhauled, but I'll leave that for the story segment. But being in the area where loot and exploration is boring or even straight up bad, let's talk about the economy and politics.
Why in the world did you attack President Kimball? Understandable.
When the game first dropped, the repair prices for the guns and armor were absolutely insane, as early on you didn't really have too much money, and even if you did 5 missions and gathered some coupons, you most likely didn't have enough to repair your armor and weapons, which resulted in players just selling their guns and armors when the durability hit low enough and bought a new set, which isn't really the Stalker way. There are 17 unique armors in the game, whereas 8 of those reside in the last area of the game, Pripyat, that is only accessible towards the end of the game. There are also a lot of stashes in the game alongside anomalies, going well above the 1k mark, but why bother? I could understand collecting all the artifacts, but the stashes, there's literally no point to loot them after the 10-hour mark, because you have enough money, ammo, and guns, so you know you won't be replacing them because there is no loot in the stashes, and you'll only get a vodka and some ammo. I know I bring up the mod pack a lot, but in that mod pack you can't buy any guns. The main progression of the game is you looting different areas, hence why stashes are so important for you. Before some of the patches, there was a way to enter Pripyat before the final mission trigger, but when I tried it, it didn't seem to work, so either I did it wrong or it was just patched. But I shouldn't rely on some top secret formula some redditor discovered just because I want to explore this area. And if your argument is, oh, no, they explain it in the story, Pripyat is lost and no one can get in because of the people in Yaniv. Well, why are there so fucking many people in Pripyat then? They say the monolith and the ward are moving towards the town, but what about the bandits or the local people there? If that's the case, we shouldn't be able to take a guide from and to Pripyat after discovering it. It just doesn't make any sense. Going into Pripyat is what the whole game should have been about. The area is great. It made me forget about all the problems the game has, these dense packed buildings, snipers on the rooftops and balconies, and most importantly the vision of what was here before. I covered the entire Metro franchise on the channel, and in last slide I mentioned my favorite section is where you get these flashbacks to the town before the bombs hit. And here it's almost exactly the same, although your imagination does the flashbacks in contrast to what's in front of you. I get that the Pripyat section is supposed to be the act 3 of the game, similar to Baldur's Gate, where the third act is supposed to show you the highlights of the game being in a big city and all. But in that game it didn't take 40 hours of slop just to get to the good part. No, all the acts were great, and the final act was just a cherry on the top, showcasing all the different elements of the game. Because all you really learn in Stalker 2 is just how to exploit the AI, not to loot any stashes. And even when you are in Pripyat and want to loot some buildings, you think to yourself sometimes, why do I bother? I already have everything. I already have the top gear armor, the best guns. I already have the ammo. Why bother looting? But even when I was at the lowest points of this game and when I went to Pripyat, I still ignored those inner calls. Why bother looting? I still tried to explore every building because it was just such an amazing atmosphere and the whole area was just beautifully done. Okay, so the developers released a game update list for the year of 2025, and I just wanna quickly talk about some of them. So a lot of things, if you can call them things, but binoculars, various night vision devices. Who is napping now? Snorks. Ah yes, thank you. Some humor in this broken game that doesn't even have any content. New anomalies, new missions from old and new friends. Wow, more content because there is no side missions at all later on into the game. Master difficulty preset. Ah yes, I would really love to play at the highest difficulty in this game where the AI doesn't even work. Oh, stamina and energy drinks rework. Oh, thank you. So you didn't playtest the game when you realized you had to sprint for like 20 minutes in every direction and you don't have enough stamina and have to drink energy drinks all the time. And most importantly, stashes loot rework. Oh wow, so maybe you did take into account what people were saying. Player equipment UI update. Oh, protection stats, finally. Oh yes, finally. Thank you for finally trying to piece together a fully released game. The game was supposed to release in December 2022. Then it was supposed to come out in September of 2024, but they delayed it until the 20th of November in 2024. They shouldn't have released the game in the state it is right now. They should have kept it and kept on cooking on it for a year or two, and then the initial reaction would have been far more forgiving from me and other players. But what I love most about this game is getting these shorts on YouTube of Stalkers like, wow, Stalker is really good now with these patches, when it's literally the same game with having just minor, really minor things like adding NPC looting and being able to loot creatures. Or videos like, only 0.7% of players did this in Stalker 2. Like, yeah, because no one was bothered to get through the slog story the game offers or the empty world it has. But one of my favorite videos I've come across is this Sigma short edit with the new gun being added into Stalker 2. And instead of being just like, wow, look how amazing this weapon is, it just showcases how awful the AI is. And I don't think the creator was showing it intentionally. The stories of these games haven't been great, but I wouldn't say that they're all bad. But I would say that the story of Stalker 2 is. So the twist for this new epic return of Stalker 2, that is literally Dying Light 2 choices where they don't really matter and the choices just impact the ending and that's it. Drew, come on, the choices do matter because of the enemies you make in the zone and some factions turn hostile against you. Sure, but it's just literally flavor of what color of bad guys you want to shoot, either the blue guys or the green guys. It doesn't matter. The only real consequence is that you might lose one base of one of the factions, but that's it. If you like the story they presented, that's fine, but I think they should have dropped the choices matter aspect of the game and just tell a story of a stalker. The game begins because Skiff loses his house despite only having his room destroyed, and it draws him to the zone because it was an artifact that destroyed it. Another YouTuber pointed out in his story analysis that in the beginning of the game, Skiff tries to use the scanner and he could go home, but he doesn't have one, so why should he go back? Well, geez, I don't know, maybe because it was only his room that got torn, he could easily fix it and have insurance pay for it as it was an accident. Maybe he didn't have insurance, but sure, then I get it. But just because your room got hit by an artifact, you decide to go into the zone that produced it. I didn't really care or pay attention of the story at first, but the more thought I put into it, the less sense it made. The easy rewrite was just to make Skiff broke, needing to make money and entering the zone. They're done, you don't need anything else. Gradually, throughout the game, you can make him learn how things operate in the zone and gradually become better with guns and whatnot. He supposedly served in the army before the game, but but if they wanted a new entry into the franchise and knowing a lot of new people were going to start with this game, it was the prime time to introduce a rookie who knows nothing, similar to S.T.A.L.K.E.R, where he has amnesia and slowly recovers his memories that he is S.T.A.L.K.E.R he was sent to kill. I just love that no matter what, the beloved pistol of Skiff is always at your side in gameplay and cutscenes, to the point where if you betray Circa and the war, they take you in instead of killing you because you're Skiff. And Skiff loves his gun, so you have it while being locked up. Like, why? What's the purpose of always having his pistol? Sure, you can switch it out, but with the carry capacity, why would you carry 2 pistols with 2 different ammo types? Just change the assets and cutscenes to the pistol in the player's inventory. Oh, and whenever a cutscene plays or Skiff pulls out his beloved pistol, you know it's going to shit because the story demands it. Instead of giving us a snooze fest of a story for 50 hours, they should just focus on the survival elements of the game like Call of Pripyat. I would just love if this game was 10 hours and the rest would just be you surviving the zone. Like I said before, imagine being able to craft your own hideout in a rundown shack to stock up on some bullets or craft some medicine, because you just looted an area and you're 5 kilometers away from the nearest town, which already is in the game, but instead of crafting, you just run and hope you don't get bored before getting to the town. Imagine just the tension of you stocking up before venturing out, knowing you probably need to have more bullets or meds than you need because who knows how your journey will go. And worst case, you could gather supplies to create more, but nope, in this game you just take the ammo, medkit, bandage, and you're good to go. Oh, and once you upgrade your suit enough, you don't even have to take Rad-X or vodka to stop the radiation. An amazing thing I love from one of the patches is that they brought different ammo types like armor piercing or flesh piercing. But what's the fucking point when you don't really need to switch bullets because enemies die from any type of bullets you fire at them? And even if you would like to switch ammo before an enemy, you would likely get killed before doing so. There is no thought behind it since the journey planning is non-existent in the game, so how could you possibly know what type of ammo to bring? I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that the story is quite bad, as only 25% of the players on a game that peaked at 120,000 players on Steam reached about the halfway point of the story in the game. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, so I have to give the game some credit, especially with the visuals. In some areas they're actually really great when the game actually knows how to utilize them. It's been some years since the initial explosion that created the zone, and some areas show that, like the poppy field, Pripyat, and to some extent Cordon for the nostalgia factor. There are some people that like areas like the burnt forest. I'm not one of them. I would have liked them to expand it more on the areas being overgrown in nature, you know, what happens after a long time. Sure, there are stalkers fucking everything up, but I think some of the more natural looking areas could do the game justice. The soundtrack of the game is basically not there most of the time. While I was playing, I didn't hear a single soundtrack apart from the enemy like fight soundtrack and the soundtrack being presented in the main menu. But I would have loved to see some feature to listen to the OG OST on the PDA, which makes me think of all the cool shit they could have done with the PDA alone, but I don't want to dog on the game more. I think that's most of my thoughts about the 60-ish hours I've spent on this game after picking it up after a long time. And it might seem that I hate the game, and no, I don't. I'm just really disappointed in it. I can see the foundation and the potential, but it's really not there yet. They should have taken more time to really cook up with this game, look into the different aspects other developers took from their own games, as well as the fans with doing mod packs like Stalker, Anomaly, and Gamma. Much similar like Bethesda, maybe in a few years Starfield and Stalker 2 will reach that potential it has, but the modders will have to do the work for them.